Welcome to Impetus Podcast, where we bring you exclusive insights on data warehouse modernization, self-service ETL and analytics, machine learning, AI, and everything cloud. Join our experts to discover best practices, tips, and recommendations that can help you realize your digital transformation goals.
Hi, my name is Larry Pearson, Vice President and Client Partner at Impetus Technologies. At Impetus, we specialize in what I like to refer to as all things data. And what I mean by that is that we help large enterprises in their quest to become data-driven enterprises. And to do that effectively, it's necessary that we help them achieve what is commonly referred to as a single source of truth with regard to their operations and their decision-making. And with regard to decision-making, a very important role is that of data science. And I have today my colleague Ravi. He is the leader of our data science practice team here in the U.S., works very closely with our clients, program managers, and various IT teams to turn complex data into critical information and to leverage the knowledge and some of the advanced techniques that are available to us today within the whole broad spectrum of machine science, artificial intelligence, RPA, and other methods to help our customers get to a deeper level of advanced data-driven decision-making. So I'm delighted to have Dr. Ravi with us here today. We're going to focus on the role of data science in digital transformation. And within that, we'll have a reference on our experience in working with our clients and helping them implement machine learning. So Ravi, welcome to our podcast today.
Thank you, Larry. It's really wonderful to talk to you today, and thanks for giving the opportunity to talk about data science and how we are helping our customers with their digital transformation.
Yeah, excellent. Let's get this kicked off with the first question. What challenges do you see businesses facing today in obtaining insights from data, and how can digital transformation help?
Sure, Larry. So the current situation is there are a lot of organizations dealing with a significant amount of challenges, partly resulting from the way the legacy systems have been set up and the transition to the newer technologies and so forth. And part of this has been being accelerated by everything we see with COVID-19. And I would say definitely there's a lot of aspects related to extracting data, dealing with the data as specific teams that they wrangle with the data to extract information and insights. One of the challenges that large enterprises face is with the way their data is organized within various databases on-prem or other locations, and extracting all the data and being able to bring it to a single location to address and create what you mentioned as a single source of truth. It takes just more than simple business rules and so forth. And this is a challenge that a lot of customers face. For example, it would require more than just one single data science team or a big data team to do this. And we have seen this with a lot of our customers. And what we have found is it's actually very beneficial to be able to bring a hybrid team of data scientists and big data engineers and other people with such business analysts to kind of interrogate this data, kind of ask questions on the data, build hypotheses, transform the data and build models and iterate on this to kind of derive insights. So this is something that Impetus has learned to deliver to customers over time. And a lot of our customers have actually benefited significantly from this. An example being a large telecom customer looking at and modernizing their marketing analytics framework, which required us to integrate data from 10 different data sources all across the enterprise, bring it all together into one platform to kind of create a cohesive data fabric where essentially CRM data, sales data, all of this data can be brought together to kind of identify customers, find out what their challenges are, and be able to address them, identify specific areas that they need help with. So we created, for example, models for what is called personalized recommendations, and also identified customer churn issues, lead generation, and so forth. So this is a very complex kind of task for a really large Fortune organization. This is a kind of similar scenario we see with other customers as well. So these kind of models have a better ability to stick and deliver value over time. And what we are saying is the digital transformation spans a combination of technologies, and being able to integrate this at scale with things like Hadoop and Spark, and also bring in the machine learning pieces to it through uh, either Python, R, or even the machine learning capabilities within Spark. So all of those enable us to build solutions and deliver value to our customers. So the various pieces of this that I'll be able to talk about later may include things around text analytics, image analytics, voice analytics. All of these pieces are coming together to create the framework for artificial intelligence that you mentioned earlier.
Absolutely, Ravi. That's interesting, and thank you for the example that you gave. I think this is an exciting time for the role of data science in digital transformation, because it's not as if data-based or data-driven decision-making is something brand new, right? We've been doing what was broadly called business intelligence decision-making in our enterprise data warehouses for literally multiple decades. But most of that was based on simple, static, rule-based decision-making. And data science now, modern data science, opens up the opportunity to really use machine learning models and AI and other new forms of data science technology to bring to bear and drive deeper insights, much more efficient and powerful decision making. Maybe you could talk for a minute about the types of data that are required to drive the kinds of insights that you just talked about, and some of the data science approaches that can be applied to that data for creating deep data insights.
Certainly, Larry. So data, as you understand, as you mentioned, is a critical aspect of everything in the modern enterprise. And any organization that collects data tends to kind of store it for the large part, and it's utilized in some sense on the but the data tends to also accumulate, and a lot of times what happens is the data doesn't get used, so it kind of like stays dark for a lot of time. But by and large, this data can be coming through from every business process that is in the enterprise. Could be sales related, marketing related, any customer interaction. And with any organization with digital footprint, if they have a website, that could essentially mean the customers are interacting with the website, so you have data of all their interactions. So this could be used for profiling, what customers are doing and predicting what their behavior is, and so forth. So data can be of structured type, as you can see with a standard, a simple one as an Excel table could be a structured data sheet. But all this data can reside in relational databases. It could be in SQL Server based, or you could have unstructured data as well that's more complex. Could be text data, could be free form text, or could be voice, images. All this data is essentially growing significantly across all enterprises as we see the beginnings of a digital transformation. And this is a challenge that enterprises have: is how do you extract information from all these different kinds of data? And oftentimes data that was not previously considered for insight generation becomes now valuable. So for example, we have a large customer for us with whom we have a strategic partnership, with whom we are working on modernizing their sales pipeline. So the data comes from every interaction that a salesperson can have with a prospect. So how do you convert what is a gut driven sales process? Somebody is trying to sell something, to a more data driven process where essentially that data is collected, processed, analyzed, interrogated, and models can be built to enhance and train next level of and improve the conversion rates. So every interaction that the salesperson has can be quantified, and various metrics can be assigned to it to create that data. So even processes that were previously not data friendly can now be made to generate data, and that becomes a starting point for the data science approaches. And typically, what happens is when you have this kind of data, the first thing you would like to do is be able to even sample that data source and be able to see what the various aspects of the data are. What are you trying to address, and how do you ask specific questions on the data, which is where data science comes in. Being able to formulate a hypothesis and ask questions on the data and be able to build models that tell you something about the data, that you can go back and say we need more data about specific thing to predict this, or some improvement that can be used an insight. So there are various data science approaches that are used as part of this. Could be supervised methods where you have data that you can use to train some models as simple as a linear regression, which could work in many cases. More advanced techniques that may rely on neural networks or specific things are also applied. Then there are also unsupervised techniques where there are no data labels. When I say labels, these are essentially, somebody has marked those data points as positive or negative or so forth. So that labeling is a very expensive process. So sometimes unsupervised techniques to do customer segmentation, or identifying clusters in the data that will give you information on specific behaviors. So that is also another pathway. And there's a third kind of approach based on reinforcement learning and so forth, which is more advanced. But all these techniques kind of work together with the statistical knowledge and business interfacing to understand the data and see what the business needs are to kind of bring it together. And this we have to do this at scale, because now you have access to all the data that's been sitting in large databases. When you bring it into one data lake, now you have access to it through Spark, and we can run this models at scale to get insights, which is the way a lot of enterprises really extract value from this.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And this whole notion of the marriage of big data technologies, in other words, distributed frameworks um, that allow us to handle, quote unquote, what more recently has been referred to as big data, has actually liberated data scientists from having to rely on just data samples, and actually they can work with the full time series, the full rich data set, and feed these machine learning models. So that's very, very interesting and represents another big breakthrough opportunity when it comes to driving for enterprise digital transformation. Before we close, this has been very, very helpful, Ravi. Thank you for your time. Before we close, is there anything you'd like to say in summary about some of the challenges of handling? You talked about one client alone had 10 different data sources, and how to really begin. There's a sense in which we've got more data than we can possibly get our arms around. Distributed data processing and frameworks like that have helped us learn how to do that. But anything you want to say in summary about what's really going on out there and where we're able to drive the most value for clients?
Definitely, Larry. So the major challenge with a lot of the data sources and things that we see is, being able to ingest these data feeds, especially into a large data lake for a enterprise. So oftentimes these data feeds may have issues with quality and data ingestion issues. So we work very closely with our customers on that aspect, primarily because that is where a lot of the works begins. And being able to apply anomaly detection techniques and identify the data quality issues for customers. You can even apply this to detect things that can impute missing data, so that if the customer data missing, how do you match that to specific customer information that you may have utilized, or do something specific with it. So a lot of things that fall under this umbrella. And the major aspect of this is to be able to provide value to our customers through data science and apply machine learning to interrogate the data and do data wrangling. And this would not have been possible today, as you mentioned, without the help of big data teams. And we work very closely with them. And that's how we provide value to customers.
Excellent. No, that's great. You've given several examples. Is there any final example you'd like to give of where this is all seen in action?
Oh, yeah, certainly. So we are working with a large strategic partner of ours where we are essentially dealing with being able to look at, how payments come through the customers and be able to track those and manage this at scale and identify, for example, out of pattern transactions that could be deviations to normal, and also be able to kind of look at receipts that get scanned. So we apply image analytics to extract information, and this is something we have done for example other customers in other industries such as healthcare and oil and gas as well. So it's a mix of various things that we apply to extract these kind of insights. So we'll be happy to dig deeper into this in future discussions to provide you more insights on those.
Ravi, thank you so much for your time today and the valuable insights that you were able to share. And thank you to our audience for joining us today. I trust you found this to be quite useful. And that concludes our podcast for today.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow us and stay connected as we help you create an intelligent, data-driven future. You can also look us up on LinkedIn and Twitter, or visit our website, www.impetus.com. Meanwhile, we hope you take good care of yourself and stay safe during these unprecedented times. Thank you for listening, and watch this space for our next episode.